So how have you found Melbourne, living in Melbourne?
I love the Cory Nation.
Yeah.
And this Aboriginal land that I'm on.
Yeah.
And I love Melbourne as a city.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most beautiful places to live in the world.
Yeah. Because you've lived in many different places all over Australia, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Welcome to Paisley Presents. My name is Paisley, and today I'm joined by the, how would I describe him? Enigmatic, interesting, insightful, energetic, passionate Cory Corbett. How are you?
It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, fantastic. I guess I'd like to start with how we met.
Certainly.
How do you think how did we meet, I guess? Because it was very recent.
I was recommended to you.
You're right. It's hard to say that without me thinking that it's immodest almost.
Yeah, that's fine. I completely appreciate that. In fact, I share that sentiment in so many ways.
Yeah.
Life is very interesting.
Mm.
To try to keep that answer short.
Yeah, definitely.
And concise.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in and around Carlton, North Fitzroy, Clifton Hill, Northcote, Thornbury.
So Melbourne born and bred then?
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I do keep coming back here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of my time is spent on what I recognise as being Wurundjeri land.
Yeah.
That's where I feel most at home.
Yeah, wow. That's fantastic. Did your family, were they artistic or creative in some way?
Yes, my mother is, a wonderful artist.
Yeah, right. Like a visual artist? Or?
So she was in the first production of Godspell in Australia.
Wow. That's amazing.
She created the creative writing course for theatre at Melbourne University, and has won. She wrote Viva la Vida Frida Kahlo while she was at university that toured Australia. I strongly believe that the movie Frida, starring Selma Hayek, was a complete copy of my mother's script.
Wow.
Down to the puppetry.
Yeah, right.
And she won the Medal of Ulm in Germany last year.
That's amazing.
For her new show.
Yeah, right.
She's an incredible artist. She's also a practitioner of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, TRE, and Emotrance, and she's been working to incorporate that with the RSL and the ambulance service in this state.
That's incredible.
Yeah, she's making wonderful headway on emotional healing properties.
Yeah, very important in this sort of world today's.
Extremely. I think that for hundreds of years, arguably thousands of years, humanity has had physical medicine.
Yes, I agree.
Take a salve, take an ointment, drink a potion.
Yeah. Just sort of a shorthand, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah. And then we've got the psychological, psychiatric, mental stuff that's sort of come in since, Jung, Freud. And I think that the one thing that's been missing up until recently with Dr. Sylvia Hartman, who's really been a spearhead in the right direction, I feel, is looking after our emotions. And being a professional actor, you're dealing in emotions so often.
It's your bread and butter.
Yeah, it is, in a lot of ways, your bread and butter.
Yeah.
If it's not, you're a model.
Yeah.
And even that I don't think that you can get into without getting into heightened states of emotion.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. There's some sort of persona or personality or exploration of
and the world.
Yeah.
The world that you live in. I think that being an artist, the one thing that you can guarantee is inconsistency.
Yeah.
So you have to work on ways to be consistent in a world where you might get a major Hollywood motion picture and then not be able to work due to circumstance and life for 6 months, a year, 2 years. If you are mega famous and you're going to be followed by paparazzi for 2 years, you need to allow yourself time for that to cool down. before you go, I'm going to feel very comfortable going back out on a set.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be chased and hounded by press.
Mm.
You know, you'd like to go down the road and grab a bit of bread without, just to have a public life. While you can still maintain somewhat of an anonymity, which is kind of contradictory to the life of a professional actor. Yeah.
Do you enjoy the, shall we say, the sort of the ebb and flow of a chaotic artistic life?
I'm used to it. Sometimes. It's a difficult question because it changes. I think ebb and flow is a wonderful way of putting it, because I think that it is changing all the time like a tide. And I'd like to actually state very clearly that anything that I say in this interview or any interview that I give from now on is exactly like the way I treat my performances when I'm on a stage or on a screen. I am speaking what I believe to be the truth for this moment in time, and I will not necessarily agree with it tomorrow, in half an hour, or in 10 years. And I think that's very important to put out there, because I think human nature is so changeable.
It's almost absurd that people hold us to our word, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like, well, opinions change.
I mean, I can make a promise to try not to go back on my word in the future to you. I cannot make a promise not to, because, worst case scenario, a gun's put to my head. I'm going to completely say that I didn't mean what I said. If my life is in danger because of something that I've said, it's just words. And my life is more important than the words that I speak, and I value it very highly. So honestly, the air that comes out of my mouth that I form is very direct and succinct for the moment that I am in.
I think that's the best way to be, really.
I hope so.
So you sort of sincerity in everything is kind of what you're getting at, isn't it?
Well, an attempt to.
Because that's half the battle.
Well, sure. I think that moderation in all things, and that also includes excess.
What made you want to become an actor? Like, do you remember when you were like, this is amazing, this is who I am? I know you do many other things, but would you say acting is your primary passion and primary drive?
It certainly is the primary within the arts. I was training in first aid for many different organisations across Australia for roughly 9.5 years. I trained around 312,000 people in that time, and I remember them all by physicality and by sensorial imprint that they've left upon me. Which means to say that some of them I don't need to remember, because I just don't feel like I'm going to come across them again in any sort of extraordinarily meaningful way, which probably makes them more important, to be perfectly honest. However, what I found after 9.5 years, first aid has not changed very greatly. You've got, if someone's heart stops, push on their chest.
Sort of resuscitation.
I mean, let's go with the fact that your heart's a pump, and if it stops, I'll push on your chest. The chances that you're going to live by me pushing on your chest really slim.
But you're giving it a go.
But I know that the heart's a pump. The ribs around the heart do flex, and you might break a couple. But honestly, a broken rib to you waking up, I'm going to risk breaking a couple of your ribs in the hope that I can pump your chest. I mean, it sort of works off, basic knowledge. And, basic knowledge principles being that if I don't look after myself, then I can't look after you to the best of my abilities.
It's like that age-old thing when you're in the plane and they're giving you the talk about the thing they always say, put it on your oxygen before
you help anybody else or anything else. You might have your guide dog next to you. yeah, or your chameleon. Who knows where we're headed as humanity, really? They're sending people to Mars. Like, really? I mean, who knows what we're going to have next to us? Help out your own corporal self before you help out something else.
Your person, animal, mineral, or element.
Vegetable. Your broccoli might be sitting next to you. And if you feel like your broccoli needs some TLC, do yourself first, then go to your broccoli. Or if your TLC is to eat your broccoli before you put on the mask, then do that way. But look after yourself. Because, let's say that, you do survive. Then you can look after all of the other people that are important in your world and universe, and all the other animals and, all of the other life that is important. That holds you as dearly as you do it. I think we're all important.
Do you think that you are inherently, or say intrinsically, more of a selfless or selfish person? Because people talk about acting as being quite a selfish thing.
Look, it certainly has narcissistic qualities.
Yes.
I mean, the industry is almost forced to be narcissistic.
Yes,
The idea that you're on camera...
It's about cultivating ego, isn't it? It's about...
In a lot of ways. I think that, it's that age-old art imitating life. The fact is that we don't get to see what goes on behind closed doors in this world. And closed doors doesn't necessarily need to mean a physical structure of a door.
No.
It means the corridors of power.
Yeah.
And because we don't get to see what goes on in them, but they make such huge impacts on the world quite often, or even on our local community. If the person next door is a mean person and is being cruel to another person or an animal, you don't often get to know it, but you might hear it through the doors, but you don't get to see what the cause is and how it's happening. So art for me is a way of showing what's happening to cause these problems, and hopefully giving the audiences who watch
insight?
Inspiration. To start a thought pattern and process to get them so inspired that they work out how they can start to cancel out these abuses of power and these, cruelties in the world, so that they can start being less of them. I think that we all need to look after each other, and I certainly don't see that the world can exist without cruelty. It happens in the animal world. The crocodile that ate the fisherman just recently up in the top end of Australia. And this albino crocodile was shot. And I don't mean to be rude to the family of the person who lost it, but if you're going fishing in crocodile-infested waters and your line gets snagged and it's worth $5, cut the line. I feel really bad for the crocodile and the person, but I feel much worse for the crocodile. That crocodile's been living there the whole time, and this person maybe came for a weekend or a week. Or maybe they've lived there for 5 years.
And it almost seems absurd, because it's almost like they're treating the crocodile the same way they would treat a human.
Exactly.
Murdered, which is absurd.
The crocodile eats meat. It's a hunter. It's a carnivore.
It doesn't make a distinction between
it's not
person and fish
cow,
or rabbit.
That's what it's designed to do. We don't see the crocodile as being a brutal, murderer. It's not conscious thought of the same ilk.
In the same way as a shark wouldn't.
Exactly. Exactly. And yet these animals are persecuted when I think statistically, now I'm saying I think and I do mean that, statistically the chances of you being eaten by a shark are less probable than being stung by a bee, being allergic to the bee sting, and being struck by lightning at the same time. We're not their food group.
No.
Not only that, but you're much more likely to be bitten by a shark and survive it than be eaten by the shark. You look at, a shark does not consume people.
No.
Most people even the people who die from shark bite,
die from
you've
loss of
still
blood.
got your body there.
You're
not going to be eaten by the shark.
No.
But these terrors, they exist because we know less about, what's under our oceans than we do about outer space in some ways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And so, we can come up with all these fears about the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that they're illegitimate fears.
No, that's right.
Because they can be quite real,
Mm-hmm.
quite deadly to our fragile human being bodies.
Yeah.
We're fragile.
Yeah. Yeah.
A cough, a sneeze, a bus hitting you.
Mm-hmm.
A car out of control with a drunk driver at 2 p.m. in the afternoon at a street where there's not meant to be any cars.
Yeah.
We can die very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that often in a first world, environment like Melbourne is, in so many ways, we can forget just how fragile our beings are.
Yeah.
And yet we can get away with a lot more risks.
Do you think that's even more reason, because you strike me, that kind of really goes on really well to my next point. Do you think that gives people a real reason to be sort of seize the day and live every moment as if it's their last, because we are so fragile, because we are so, we all live potentially volatile lives, or we all live potentially risky lives?
No, not necessarily. I think that, that's a good question. Look, I think that there's room for every facet of life to be expressed through humanity in some ways.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't for a moment believe that we're more carpe diem, to use the Latin, because we live in this environment.
Or should we be? Is it a good way to be, do you think?
Well, again, arguable, but yes, look, I think often about death. Often. Every day, usually. And I question myself, would I be okay if I died today? Would I feel like I lived my life to the fullest if I died now? And most of the time I answer yes. And if I'm not answering yes, I question myself on what I need to be doing right now to answer yes. Because...
So the threat of death, in a sense, is a good motivator to do what you... For you
not
personally?
The threat of death. No, not the threat of death.
No.
But thinking on, because I'm just a being in a corporal body. I don't imagine that I am some, God-like figure. I'm a human being. I share my anatomy most closely with chimpanzees and bonobos. On that, I prefer to be a bonobo than a chimp in comparative structurings. But we are so incredibly lucky that we can communicate with each other and be on a level of understanding with each other. I think that whether or not we're using the filter of a lens to see ourselves or a telephone between us, somehow we get the structures. Teleportation isn't real. Well, I kind of think we're doing it every time we pick up a phone.
On some level.
Your meaning when you call me or I call you, whether it's this country or any other country, I get the feel of what you're wanting and involvement in my life, the capacity to which you want to be intertwined in mine. I get the substance of that. You can tell when somebody rings up on the phone and they've got bad news. The tone of their voice permeates, and it doesn't matter that they're on a telephone. It still hits you emotionally because you've just realised that your dad's died. The weight of that conversation, you might realise it before the words are even out of the speaker's mouth. But it hits you like concrete to the chest because you know it's the truth. And it'd be just as much if they were there in front of you, you're going to have the same physical bodily reaction.
Definitely.
You're going to drop the phone, you're going to collapse back in your chair. You're going to fall forwards. It doesn't matter if they're there in the space or not in some ways.
No.
Because you're connected so cerebrally, I want to say is the right word. But, that sort of seems inadequate. I do see it as a bit of teleportation in some ways. I think we're living in the future in so many ways.
Have you had anyone close to you in your life die? I know that seems like a
yes, and I don't
question.
want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it?
If that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's good. But speaking maybe more broadly in terms of in terms of death, Do you think it's something that we should be able to talk about more openly and more?
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely I do. But I think that it can be difficult, which is exactly why I don't want to talk about it, and especially on camera.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah. And that's why I don't like to pry. I know a lot of interviewers pry. I'm not about that.
Of course, and that's why I feel totally comfortable saying no.
Yeah.
And the reason that I say no is because at this moment in my life, I'm still going through a lot of trauma from deaths that I am very much affected by. Yeah. And that's difficult for me to say and talk about without feeling overburdened with emotion. Yeah. And being able to continue the interview. Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Have you had any therapy?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, but I find that a lot of therapy is inadequate.
Yes, I agree.
And a lot of people who call themselves teachers or therapists, I think, should be questioning why they're calling themselves that.
I completely agree. Yeah. They don't necessarily have it in them to be that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's more about the drive. I spoke to a teacher recently on online. Yeah. I won't mention who they were or the rest of the conversation because I like to keep
a sense of what's the word, confidentiality.
Confidentiality, yeah. I think it's incredibly rare.
In this day and age,
and especially in the arts.
Yeah.
Where we can look up a newspaper and find out what food Brad Pitt's eating for breakfast.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening, isn't it? Really?
Well, yeah. And I think that's, in some ways it is almost justifiable, but in other ways it's really quite scary.
It is. Almost like that Big Brother idea, isn't it? That everyone wants to know everything all the time about everyone. Yeah,
well, I think that's the reason why Big Brother's so successful and the basis for reality television.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of people feel very scared. And it is a very scary world. Yeah. And so the whole thing of seize the day, well, what is it to seize the day? Seizing the day sometimes, that's even for myself, is just getting out of bed in the morning. Yeah. Or at
anything
night.
else is a bonus, kind of.
Yeah, anything else is a bonus. Like, if you can feel comfortable enough to lift your head and go out the front door, it's a scary world sometimes out there.
Definitely,
You want to be able to be free to practice your religion, your sexuality, whatever you believe will nurture your being in life. And you want to feel free that you're not going to be persecuted from it. Yeah. But you know that no matter whether or not you believe that tea is the best drink in the world, someone out there is going to take offence to you thinking that tea is the best drink in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you have such a strong belief about it, somebody's going to, question you on it, pull you up on it. Yeah. You're going to have to justify why you think something is wonderful for you. Even though you believe in your heart of hearts, soul of soul, that what you're doing is, at worst, just harming your own corporal self and not affecting those around you. Yeah. But then we get, involved in esoterical, philosophical, phenomenological, conversation, and honestly, I don't think that we have time.
No, that's right. Yeah. Do you think that you are a empathetic person? Because I personally feel that, in terms of my acting or even writing or things that I love artistically, I feel like I'm a deeply empathetic person, and I feel like that is an asset as a...
I sort of had a feeling that we'd go down this
path. Or even an empath. You seem like someone who might even see themselves as an empath, which is like a sort of another level of...
Yeah, well, yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of is the answer.
Yeah. That's the shortest answer you've given.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the most accurate I can give.
Yeah. Or maybe should I say, do you think you're more... Like, because some people are definitely more receptive to other things around them, and some people are more intuitive to themselves. Do you think you're more intuitive to yourself? Or
to everyone who watches this, I just feel very conscious of the fact that I don't know what's going on around me all the time. That the way that I interpret the world is not necessarily how the world is in reality, or how anybody else views the world through whatever lens they choose to look through, whether that's their eyes or a computer screen or a phone.
It's down to perception in that sense.
It's down to perception, and I don't pretend to know.
Yeah.
And I don't feel as though I do know.
Yeah.
So I feel constantly as though I need to question existence because I feel intrinsically involved in so much localized existence to my personal world.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that makes sense.
Yeah. You're quite a philosophical person, aren't you? Like the first day we met, I'd say almost most of our conversation, even though I'd say 50-50, it was, kind of rhetoric and contextual things that you wanted to tell me about that were happening in your life. Is that a common thing for you? Do you often speak about philosophy with your friends and your colleagues?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like to question existence.
Yeah. And that's the nature of philosophy, really. That's the best definition. Isn't it though? Like in a nutshell?
Look, sure, why not? Let's go with that. Yeah.
It's the most basic definition.
I'll just be agreeable. Yeah. I might disagree later.
Yeah.
Just putting that out
Stay
there.
tuned.
Yeah. Look, I think that to question existence, I question myself regularly. I speak to myself regularly, and I speak to other people regularly, because I think we're all in this life together. And so getting feedback is so important. I think feedback, I think feedback being constructive criticism.
Yeah.
So not telling you no, I disagree.
Yeah.
But telling you rather, I feel uncomfortable because of this, and this, which gives you an insight.
Qualifying things.
To then be able to say, well, I wasn't trying to take you down that track of thought or conversation. What I was trying to do was open you up to this possibility.
Yes, yeah.
And then we can be involved in a duologue or I don't know how you'd say a septologue. Don't know if that's a word.
Yeah.
I like coining
Is that
new
5?
words.
Sept is 5?
7.
Oh, 7, sorry. Yeah. Queen is?
Queen.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, totally. Where do we go?
yeah. I'm trying to think of from there, where the right page that I was on. Interview got away from me there. In terms of your acting and performance, you seem like a very busy person. Are you busy because you want to be, or because you feel like you need to be?
Both.
Yeah.
At the moment, I don't get paid enough money to be able to facilitate the lifestyle that my life and the choices that I make on a day-to-day basis see me living in.
Yes, right.
So I've learned to facilitate my life with work, often 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that I have a safe haven. I'll be picked up and driven on tour, or on a set, or in a bedroom somewhere, or a hotel room, or a plane cabin, or whatever the place may be. But it will be under the guise of I'm being travelled to tour somewhere, or I'm on the way to visit someone.
Yeah, always on the move.
Always on the move, because I don't have the money to facilitate the mansion and the staff that I need. That's the other way of doing it, is having a mansion and having staff that I consider to be close friends and confidants. And people that I'm, paying for their whatever they want to do with their life outside of being working for me, and I want them to do whatever they want to do. If they want to stay on working for me after, I help them achieve whatever they want to do with their actual life, and fine, that'd be great. But
do you see you have a real skill, or maybe even a gift, or if it's maybe slightly your calling to help other people, to facilitate their talents as well as...
I want to live in a world where I'm surrounded by people who I feel are brilliant, happy, and who feel they are healthy.
Right.
Because then I feel nourished by being in their company. I feel like there is something growing between us. a really appropriate word and it's just escaping me. It's collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily to work on a physical thing.
No.
You know, but
Collaboration of mind or collaboration of...
just an agreement between two people.
Yeah.
Whether you call them mates, or you call them family, or you call them acquaintances.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Whatever it is, work colleagues, you know, but there's a collaboration going on where, well, pretty much on a base level, I completely agree not to do you any harm consciously.
Yeah, right.
And I think I have something that will be of interest to share with you. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know, money, sex, drugs, politics, rock and roll, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I feel as though I'm not out to hurt your way of life.
Yeah.
But rather that I can come together with people who I think we can enhance together.
Yeah.
Increase the knowledge pool, share the gene pool.
Yeah.
In whatever way that might be appropriate.
Yeah. Good choice of words there. Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah. As a very busy person and as someone who's really proactive, do you ever have days where, like I remember you said to me when we first met, I think you said in the last year, you haven't, you had like 2 days off or something?
I've had 8.5 days off since January 5th.
Yeah, right. This year. Right. So do you feel, because you're busy all the time and you're so proactive, do you ever have days where you're just like, I can't do this anymore? You want to just throw in the towel?
Well, no, it's like that. It's like when you say you're busy, I've just got 7 emails come through since we started this interview and 1 text message.
Yeah.
You know, I just had a feeling that I need to check my phone. I'm talking about communication so much and there's communication coming through.
Yeah.
I just see life as being a bit symbiotic.
Yeah.
What I need will be presenting itself to me, and right now I need to, you know, go to the Galilean. Local Aboriginal word for dunny. Yeah. Feels weird.
Yeah. Excuse me. Right now, no, that's a joke. That's alright, you can go right ahead. Do you feel better?
I feel, you know...
relieved?
I feel like a working animal.
Yeah, right. You feel like a working animal. What else do you love? What other passions do you have other than acting and facilitating things?
I love swear words.
Yeah, right. Because I think they get a bad rep these days. I think that people should, you know...
Look, I think that we've got a choice as animals, and I do use that word very strongly. I think that we're animals.
Yeah.
You know, we're humans, we all communicate with each other, but who's to say that a dog doesn't bark and communicate with another dog in exactly the same way? Just because we don't speak their language or that's barking or howling doesn't mean that they're any less tuned into each other than we are.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we often think of ourselves as superior to other animals and plants and minerals.
Yeah.
Well, trees have been around longer than, you know, most species of tree live longer than most people do.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I mean, what, they're not communicating, they've got roots that go underground.
Exactly, yeah. Darwin, I remember Darwin would talk about the fact that the only reason we as a human species think that we're more sophisticated rather than intelligent, sophisticated is a more biological term,
yes.
Than every other species, is because we think that we are the only species that have a concept of what sophisticated is.
Yes, very well summed up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Darwin.
Yeah.
He was a good man.
Yeah.
He was clever. You know, I think he was missing out on the bonobo and the chimp genealogical relationship because he didn't have the scientific tools, shall we say,
exactly,
to actually go through and discover that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
we're getting better at it.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I still think that Leonardo Da Vinci is incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I don't think that we've been able to realise half of what he came up with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing like to think of like geniuses like that, which were so kind of ahead of their time. There would have been nothing to, and maybe it's almost a bit sad these days that in some situations like this isn't as much the case, but in those days there wouldn't have been anything to trigger that, would there really? Or maybe he looked at, you know, a machine and then extrapolated from that, and you know, but like there's no way that he would have had someone talking about a helicopter in a bar and been like, oh, helicopter, that's a good idea, and like, you know, drew that or like wrote that down, because no one had even heard what that word was. Like,
I don't know, I think that he invented, you know, possibly the helicopter, but,
yeah,
you know, I think there's a lot of things that people invent, but they know what they are.
Yeah.
They know they don't currently exist in the form that they, you know, see them existing in. And coming up with words for them is quite often a really difficult thing. It's like naming characters in a series on telly. Yeah, it is, yeah. You know, writing the characters can so often be a much easier task than actually naming the characters.
Yeah. On that, because do you write?
A lot.
Yeah, thought so. a specific question in terms of, because I'm a writer as well, and specific question in terms of character names. Do you think that certain names, and also I'll give you a second question after this, do you think that certain names evoke a certain kind of
I've just answered that question.
image or personality? Oh, the second question I was going to say, give me some examples of names and what they evoke for you.
Jesus, Muhammad, Allah, Adam, Eve.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean more like everyday sort of character names that you...
Well, Adam's an everyday character name.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Eve is an everyday character name. Muhammad's an everyday character name.
Yeah, that's true.
Jesus is an everyday character name.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, these are common names.
Yeah.
But they evoke much bigger entities.
Yeah.
Than just...
Because of the biblical context or the historical...
I mean, you put an apple in a show.
Yeah. Straight away.
Which religion do you want to pick
the
apple from?
Yeah.
You know, I think that it takes a lot of care and a lot of thought when naming and placing props into shows and characters, because the reverberations can be felt. You know, all we need to do is look at Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah.
To know just how far things can go, or, you know, any extremist in any religion, or cult, or, you know, anything. I mean, all we need to do is see how far things can go to realise that I think that any one thing in excess becomes bad for you.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think you're religious or spiritual, and if so, why?
Yes, because I don't think that I know everything.
Yeah.
I don't think that I can know everything.
Yeah.
I hope there's stuff out there that knows more than me. And I kind of, by default, through that logical thought process, need to believe that there's stuff out there that's more something than we as humanity are.
But you don't subscribe to any particular sort of religion. You're more...
I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
There's beautiful things in all religions that I've ever read or come across.
Yeah.
Really beautiful, you know, tenets and practices of life, like, you know, love thy neighbour, treat others as you would treat, you know, you wish to be treated, or however they're phrased, doesn't matter the religion. I think there are really beautiful things in religion. I think there's really beautiful things in politics.
Yeah.
I think there's really beautiful things in geology.
Yeah.
You know, my religion is that I don't understand, and I don't think I'll ever have the capacity to understand, and therefore I have to believe.
Yeah, right. Do you believe in the idea of specifically a higher power? Or do you think it's more just that there are things we don't understand?
I've got an answer to that one already. Okay, let's take God in the Christian religions and faiths.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people pray to a vision of a Caucasian male with a beard sitting in clouds.
Yeah.
I kind of want to believe that prayer is actualizing things in our...
It's sort of self-counsel, isn't it? It's like a very old world.
Yeah, but I think, you know, I mean, if you look up the origins of the word abracadabra, I speak, therefore I create. That's just going back, you know, to Latvian. But, you know, you can take it all the way back to Latin and, you know, beyond. It goes all the way back to Aramaic. Abracadabra. I don't know how you say it, honestly. Pardon me. I love etymology, but I don't get enough time.
Yeah.
You know, that's not my true...
calling
or passion or what I'm interested in. The shiny thing in my life is not etymology.
Yeah. But it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? It's a fascinating thing.
It's
linguistics
absolutely great. You know.
Do you consider yourself a wordsmith?
Yes, and this was what I was going to say before. One of the things that I wish to do, and I've been formulating it, brewing it in my mind, mulling it over for, I don't know, well over a decade now, nearly 20 years, is a play that only uses sounds.
Yeah, wow.
So, you know, we've got the common sounds that you can find in Scrabble that can be defined as an interjection expressing surprise. Oh! Or other sounds that are just weird.
Yeah.
And actually just do an entire theatrical performance, not using one intelligible word any language.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, I've already come across problems with that, there's a tribe in Africa, and I've forgotten their name, which is just...
The Swahili, or would it be? Or
I
the
don't think
Kalahari? Or...
Might be the Kalahari. Honestly, my apologies, I've forgotten.
There's actually a poster you might have noticed on the back about it.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I felt really, you know, ill at ease turning my back on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a poster, but, you know, still, you know, I mean, I don't know, I think that gestures carry a lot of weight.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
How you position yourself in space, and whether or not you're being open and allowing yourself to be read. You know, I think a lot of conversation is verbal, but I think more of it's visual.
Yeah, definitely. Body language.
So much more of it is body language, and you know, how open and how expressive are you willing to be? You know, and I can be really closed off now that you're asking this question. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Do you often find, because I struggle with this a lot, and I know it's probably because, or it's for a lot of reasons, but it's especially maybe because I'm young and I'm still, I wouldn't say discovering who I am, because I feel like, I mean, even though even though we are all always discovering who we are, you know, as we grow, but what I was going to say, a question specifically, do you ever get frustrated with yourself that you know, speak too much, or that you think too much?
Of course.
Yeah.
I get frustrated with myself all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I talk to myself incessantly. Incessantly. I'm talking to myself even when I'm not saying words out loud.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, I wish it was more acceptable that I could yell at myself in the mirror at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'd not only wake up the people I live with, but the neighbours and everyone down the block.
Yeah,
you know, it's a little bit unfair on those around me if I suddenly start screaming at myself. Whether that's, you know, loving affectations of I love you, or geez, you fucked that up. You know, I mean, really, you did a poor job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really unhappy with the way you handled that. You knew hindsight.
Yeah.
Oh, what a female dog. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, and I love female dogs, but gee willikers.
Have you always, I'm guessing you would have experienced people saying that you're eccentric or weird, or do you think...
Of course I am.
Do you think that's something that is in you naturally? And if so, do you think the people thinking you that makes it even more so? Do you think we are sometimes a product of ourselves, but also how others see us?
All of the above?
Yeah. That was a very succinct answer as well. Yeah. It's an easy answer to answer.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, it facilitates what I need to do. I've got a lot of information that I need to be able to process on a regular basis. So I could give you a long-winded, complicated answer if you want.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
But honestly, it would bore me too.
Yeah. In terms of the world today with like social media and internet and things like that, do you think that is a force for good or a force for sort of bad? Do you think it's encouraging us to be more social or antisocial, or a bit of both? And what do you think?
I just think that the internet is challenging our perception of reality.
Yeah.
The internet forces us to question everything, because I think for a long time the empirical superstructures of this planet were really well established, whether they were dictatorships, communistic, egalitarian, democratic, consumeristic societies, you know, media, the controls, you know, that are so prominent in the world, are really threatened by the internet.
There's a sense of sort of autonomy and independence.
Well, I mean, you know, 12-year-olds are creating websites.
Yeah.
You know, and if a 12-year-old can create a website, then hang on a second, they could have as much influence as, or more influence, than a 26-year-old politician. Now, that to me says that where do these LAW laws come into effect in relation to the age of consent, for example? The ability for that 12-year-old to have that much effect on the world, one example. But then to restrict that 12-year-old from being able to vote, kind of gets me really weirded out.
Do you think people should be able to vote at a younger age?
No, I think no.
Not
I think that it shouldn't be a hard and fast law necessarily.
Yeah, right.
You know, I think that we should be more going with LORE,
Yeah.
where the tangible world that we live in is taken into account. It's very difficult to say that there is an age, and I understand the necessity for law to provide for such a huge majority of different people and entities. I love law. And I hate it too.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah.
I love the construct of law. I think it is beautiful. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Vogon poetry, that is law as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I live my life by those books.
It's
In the radio series. Yeah, amazing writing.
It's good writing.
Yeah.
You know, why would someone who has influence on the world around them or have the ability to pay tax, you know, that gets me actually. That does get me.
Yeah.
That you know, nearly 16-year-old in Australia can work for a company like McDonald's, pay tax out of their salary to the municipality and the Australian government and so forth, or the country's, you know, I'm just in Australia, so I think about it in terms of that.
Yeah.
You know, to that country's, you know, governance system, but then not even have a voice in who is elected to run that government system.
Yeah. That doesn't
That doesn't add up for me.
No, yeah.
You know, because that's contradicting the law for me.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand that there's a difference between the legal age of consent and the legal age of majority.
Yes, yeah.
That makes sense to me. The physical body hasn't grown up enough to be able to handle abusive recreational use of things like alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, that's based in science, medical science, and how we grow.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that should be. I think that's the same as law.
Yeah.
Every human body is different. You know, we have more bacteria from the outside world on us than we do, you know, genes from our own body. I mean, you know, we're totally weird.
Yeah.
We're totally weird.
Yeah,
you know, we don't need to look for alien life elsewhere.
No, that's right.
We just need to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Let alone interact with any other physical thing.
Yeah.
You know, wow.
If an alien species, this is such a cliche question, but I'm asking,
yeah,
if an alien species came to Earth and, you know, it's, let's say an advanced, very, very advanced alien species came to Earth, what do you think they would think of us as a species?
Oh, bugger if I know. If they're very, very advanced.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of question is that? I would suppose what a more advanced society or culture would think
I guess,
of us.
I guess the question hidden in it is the idea of, like, do you think that they would be, you know, disappointed in us? Do you think they would be, you know, impressed? Do you think they would be...
No, I think it would be much more base level.
Yeah.
You know, can I get something from them?
Yeah.
Do I have anything to offer them to get something from them if they're nice?
Yeah.
Who knows if they're going to be nice?
Yeah, that's true. It's almost a
you know, this
presumption.
is a moralistic question more than a, you know...
Yeah.
You know, what the cannibals?
Yeah.
Or the crocodiles? You know, I mean, what do you expect of a crocodile? A crocodile is an advanced alien creature living on our Earth. They've been here longer than almost any person has.
Yeah.
As a continuous species. I'd call that pretty alien from our point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not sure that they, you know, and I'm not sure. And that's the big thing. I'm not sure whether or not they categorise between a person and a plant. I reckon they're pretty advanced if they can. And they tend to only eat meat. So I reckon that, you know, are they being nice or not? I don't know, because I think they're advanced, whether or not they even think like that. And to even say that they think, I think is weird.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. I remember reading a quote. I think it was. I should get this right. I hope I get this right. It was either Carl Sagan or Stephen Hawking who said about that if an advanced alien species did come to Earth, we would be right to be frightened because they would hypothesize. They would say that it's like the equivalent of when you know, the English.
Invaded
went
Australia?
Went to either Australia or America. They use the example of America in terms of, you know, the Native
more
Americans
people,
and stuff
more
like
popularist.
that. Yeah. And that didn't didn't go too well for either the Aboriginals or the Native Americans.
Not really.
So, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know, and that makes me very angry.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I mean, I would argue, do we have aliens living among us?
Yeah.
Very advanced ones, and how would we know if we did?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not how do we find out.
No.
What makes us think for a moment that we are of an understanding that we would be able to recognise in any perceivable way an advanced alien culture?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we're just... What was it? Only a few hundred years ago we discovered the world was round?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, you know, this is not very long. In the scale of infinity,
Even
let's
just the
pretend
Earth.
that, you know, this universe might go on forever and that there's only one of them. Let's pretend that we know that that's true. That the universe is going to go on forever and that there's only one of them. What makes us think that we even know that for a start? And if we put that as a basis for the understanding of everything, big concept, then what on earth gives us the self-important, confident, egoistic mannerisms to think that we're going to be able to recognise everything in infinity?
Yeah. It's inconceivable.
Well, for me it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
That's a great line. I just want to reference this because I think you'll appreciate it. It's like one of my, probably my biggest sort of, I'd say idol in terms of Australian media, and a bit of a hero of mine is John Safran. And I love one of his quotes in John Safran versus God. He's talking about atheism, and he's saying about the fact that he's just like, you know, basically, if I came to your house and I looked on your bookshelf, you know, and your Stephen Hawking's, you know, history of the universe or whatever, it's like, it would still be on page 3. It's like, face it, you're too stupid to be an atheist. Like, this idea that, like, you couldn't even give an answer, like a resemblance of an answer in terms of the beginning of the universe. Like,
yes.
Yeah, and it's quite true. Because
I say the same thing about religion.
Yeah, definitely.
Or about science.
Yeah.
Or about medicine.
Yeah.
Or about, what,
anything.
Bowling.
Yeah. I love that bowling is what you chose. Like so obscure. Religion, medicine, bowling, you know.
Well, that's just it. Like, how do we think that we can understand the fabric of existence when we're questioning it so continually? We put education as something that everyone should have the right to learn. If the United Nations can agree that everyone should, you know, have, you know, as an optimal standard of living, education, nicely timed. Then, you know, how on earth can we pretend that if we place education as something that is important for life, or food and water and shelter as things that are important for life, well, is that it? Food, shelter, water? No, I really, really enjoy my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I really do. It's a rare luxury. And you know, I mean, if someone in Somalia who doesn't have access to tea watches this, I can tell them that this cup of tea, to me, tastes really nice. It's hitting the spot. I feel enhanced by it, and I can't tell you how.
I like tea, I think, because for a few different reasons. I mean, obviously, like basic things, like I like the taste, I like whatever. But for me, I love things in life that ostensibly haven't changed since the beginning. You know, I love the fact that it's sort of a ritual. I love the fact that it's completely in the same way that I like to go to dinner with friends. You know, I love the idea that me, someone 400 years ago, and someone 400 years from now, there will always be that idea of just going to dinner. You know, like with a friend.
No.
Like, oh really? I don't think people will be going to dinner.
What's going to happen in 400 years? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, true. But you know what I mean. Like,
I know what you mean.
Even if what dinner means is different and what that entails.
Okay, here's a word. Look, breakfast.
Yeah, that's a good example. That is everything.
Break fast.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, wasn't a conscious thought. Passed out, woke up, hungry, food me. I'm not breaking my fast.
No.
I think that to fast from something automatically requires a conscious thought pattern of, I am going to consciously not do this.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to a friend of mine recently who's a nutritionist, and she said that fast, like people think that that's what fast means, but she said that fast is actually like you fast even when you're asleep. which is why breakfast is called
Breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast. Yeah. That's why it's called that, because you've woken up, and then if you eat after you've woken up. Apparently, you're fasting pretty much any time you're not eating, biologically speaking.
Biologically, then why isn't every meal called breakfast?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then why is lunch called lunch, and what is lunch?
Yeah, exactly. If anyone wants to post the answer to why lunch is called lunch,
please,
that would be so appreciated, because
amazing,
both of us seem to be interested.
Yeah. It's almost like the difference as well. You could use a really example where tea is like a cup of tea, but then tea also means dinner.
I think that we've just proved that quitting smoking is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I'm a non-smoker. Do you see me smoking?
No.
I'm not actively smoking at the
That's
moment.
right, exactly.
So since
You're
my
a
last
non-smoker.
cigarette, I've quit.
Yeah.
And if I choose to have another one, I will start. And if I am in the process of drawing in smoke into my lungs or exhaling it from my mouth, I will at that moment only be a smoker.
Yeah, that's right. Could alcoholics use the same argument?
Under the argument of breakfast means, a fasting means any time you're not actively ingesting food. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Or ingesting anything. I mean, what would fasting be then? If we took, let's go talk about a conjecture.
Yeah. Well, there's the Jewish thing, isn't there, where there's a Jewish thing where they don't just not eat food. So they don't eat food, they don't drink alcohol. There's that time that what do they call Lent? And during Lent, they have to fast.
Yeah, same with most religions?
Yeah, that's right, which is not eating, not drinking, not anything.
Depends what word you use,
which
religion you go
That's right, yeah. But that's an example of...
But yeah, exactly. What is fasting then? Is fasting meaning I stop breathing, therefore I'm fasting?
Yeah.
Or do I have to define succinctly what food is? There's oxygen bars. I can put on a mask and get, 98, 99... saturation of oxygen. It makes me absorb faster, jump higher, run longer. Now, is that food?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Is that food?
Because there are things that
Because if that's food, then the only time you can technically fast is if you stop breathing.
That's
right. And if you stop breathing, eventually you're going to die.
Quite fast.
It's a reasonably fast, thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop breathing. Not too long later, I'm not going to be alive.
Yeah.
Reasonably concurrent around the world. That's pretty agreed upon.
Yeah.
As far as I understand it.
Yeah. It's amazing how long people can hold their breath, though, isn't it? It's amazing.
Incredible. Free divers.
Yeah.
They impress me.
Yeah. There's lots of things like that. I think we should probably get on to your projects. What are you doing? I know this is a huge question.
Yep.
But what maybe prioritize from most important or most soon to happen?
Well,
what are you doing at the moment?
The most soon to happen.
Yeah, that's a great sentence. The most soon to happen. This is water, I swear. I'm only drinking water.
I'm certainly not.
Yeah, he really isn't. Yeah.
There's Irish whiskey in this, and it's good.
And it's Irish breakfast.
And it's Irish breakfast tea with Irish whiskey.
That's like the Irish drink,
I feel like a leprechaun.
Yeah, that's most of the time, even without the tea.
No. Just right now, as I said, I'm qualifying again, where I feel like we're getting close to the end of the interview. No, everything that happens that I talk about is pretty much just for that moment that I'm talking about it. If I'm talking about it or communicating it, I believe it's truth at that time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't quote me on this later, preferably, unless you wish to debate in a philosophical nature, and you can afford my time to debate this with you, because I need things like, easy access toilets, friends, and, sociable food.
I love that easy access toilets was on the list. Yeah.
Look, the facilities have to be working both on my inside and on the outside. And
it's a partnership.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a concert.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the massive epic production that you are a producer of.
The executive producer and the lead actor.
Yeah. So was that sort of your decision? Like what order did those things happen? did you want to be the lead, and then you were like, well, I need to...
It's such a long story. I mean, just to talk about that and answer it fully would take another 2 hours.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
have that time, and neither do you,
Yeah.
to have me here.
Yeah.
However, I can just say that the director is Trausti Olafsson
Yeah.
from Reykjavik in Iceland.
That's amazing.
He is, in my humble opinion, the preeminent scholar on Henrik Ibsen the world over.
Yeah.
And he is a theatrical director, and he's done so in multiple countries around the world and given lectures all around the world. I worked with him. He asked me to play Julian the Apostate in Ibsen's The Emperor and Galilean. Ibsen himself called it his masterpiece work.
A lot of people don't even, like, it's sort of underrated, isn't it? Because a lot of people don't even really know of it.
Well, I think that, honestly, I think it was like, Galileo, not the Emperor and Galilean, but Galileo, claiming that the world was round.
Yeah, right.
You know, it took a long time for the rest of the planet to catch on.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that Ibsen thought of it as his masterpiece, his magnum opus, well, that's, that sort of stuff can take a while to catch on.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And having read it several times, I actually do believe it.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of Ibsen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What are the
Ibsen plays have you been involved in?
Hedda Gabler, The Master Builder, John Gabriel Borkman, just to name 3.
Yeah, wow.
And
Do you have a
read
favourite?
lot of The Emperor and Galilean.
Yeah, right. I thought so. Yeah.
It describes the life of Julian the Apostate.
Yeah.
Who's a not very well known until this play is premiered, really, and then even then it could take a long time for the understanding of what Julian did in the world around 351 to 363 in Rome. Greece, Persia, with the Gauls. He was quite an influential historical figure that we know very little about.
Yeah.
And I'm only just starting to get a handle on him. And I'm playing the lead.
Yeah, right. Is that who you're playing? Or
I'm playing Julian.
You're playing Julian, yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and I'm casting it.
What, as an actor and also as someone producing the show, what do you feel like is the difference between when you're playing a real person from history or a fictional character? Like, what are sort of...
a fictional character is much more fun.
Yeah.
Because it's easier.
Yeah.
Because it's fictional, you can always argue with the director about how it, could be.
Yeah.
Not that I want to argue with Quentin Tarantino.
No.
To have a bit of a way of stomping on people.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be a bit like a sort of adolescent on set in terms of those things.
Well, he could be.
Yeah.
And I've got no problem with that.
No,
I still want to work with him, but I just
wouldn't
possibly want to argue with him on any sort of regular basis.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd find it tiring.
Yeah.
But, that's all conjecture. It's all hypothetical out there in the world.
Yeah. So it's much more difficult to work within sometimes the confines of a true person or of a
Well, yes, you wish to be accurate.
Yes, right. Yeah.
And to be accurate about somebody who was alive and in a position of immense power 700 years ago? No, more. 1,700 years ago, roughly.
Yeah.
Is quite difficult.
Are there any aspects of Julian that you relate to, or you feel like it's similar to you, or that you can bring out those parts of you?
Sort of.
Yeah. Did you find it an interesting character from what you've read so far?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find the script is just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, revolutionary. I feel like the script itself is revolutionary.
So, like, one of the best plays you've ever read?
Yeah, so, I mean, I kind of look at Shakespeare. Okay, let's go back in time.
Yeah.
I look at Socrates being the start of crafting words in terms of communicating to others. Plato wrote down what Socrates said. Because Socrates could not write.
We talked about this.
And his name's still argued about it today, whether it's Socrates or Socrates. No one's absolutely accurate on that. I mean, how can you be?
Yeah.
We're talking over 1,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago. I mean, it's a long time ago. How do you be that accurate over such a long period of time? Then came for me the next major writer
Yeah,
was Shakespeare,
yeah, right.
whose works are still being performed in all sorts of manifestations.
Yeah,
It's hard to find a love story, for example, in modern writing that isn't in some way based upon Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. It's described, my biggest idol of all time, Stephen Fry, and many other people have described Shakespeare as like our author. Like if you were to pick, like this is the other example of like what I said before, if an alien came down and they wanted to know, everything sort of about humanity or the human condition or whatever, like the best example.
Currently, probably,
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare in a lot of ways. I think that Ibsen was the next major writer.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's arguable as to which play of Shakespeare's you think is the best.
Yeah.
The Wild Duck, for example, of Ibsen's has been the most popular.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Around the world.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Especially in terms of doing sort of modern interpretations or like quite.
The pinnacle, as I've understood it up to this point, is that every year in Norway, the thing to do if you get the chance is to go to Oslo and see Peer Gynt performed.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Because Ibsen was the height of the Norwegian language.
Yeah.
His ability to understand what was happening in the world at any given time and what stories to tell, I think he's the next biggest writer after Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I'm currently questioning over whether the next one is George R.R. Martin or not.
Oh wow, okay. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Tolkien
Tolkien almost got it for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
I think that he's amazing.
He's a genius, especially in terms of just creating worlds.
Oh, just creating worlds and creating languages. Like a whole lot,
Yeah.
He's a genius.
Very few authors go like so many other steps beyond just writing a book and create this entire universe
around it. Yeah.
And you can tell that he's a historian.
George R.R. Martin, maybe that next writer. I don't know who the next writer is.
Yeah.
But George R.R. Martin may be that writer.
Yeah.
I look at his series Game of Thrones, and I'm just constantly mesmerised by it. I kind of think that Tolkien was writing about the forces in World War II.
Definitely, yeah.
And I kind of think that George R.R. Martin may be writing about, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace.
Yeah, definitely.
Gmail, Google.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that feeling that, MySpace is kind of, the Tullys.
Yeah.
You sort of never hear about.
Yeah.
They're just not that influential anymore. But they were. You hear about how they were influential.
Yeah.
And the Targaryens are like, Facebook.
Yeah.
Or Twitter, perhaps.
Yeah.
Coming through Facebook, which is the Lannisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also kind of almost a good allegory for I reckon for kind of what I call like the new Cold War, like that idea that because people argue.
I don't think it's the Cold War. I think it's the Tech War.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I mean.
I think that
like
we're living in the Terminator right now.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got robots.
Yeah.
Look at Asimov.
Yeah.
We've got robots that walk and talk and can be programmed and stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't this exactly what the Terminator was?
Or even drones and things like that.
And drones, flying objects that can do military strikes all
Yeah.
around the world without a person being anywhere near them.
Yeah.
I think I need to finish it there.
Oh, okay, no worries. Well, I'm very, very excited to see your show, and I can't wait to see it. And so I'll link all the things in the description, and that way people can see all of your shows.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So thank you very much for being on the show.
I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, Cory. Cheers.